Let's do a new one. Let's do a new one. You wanted to ask about how to micro your units. This is a really funny question because it's actually incorrect for Zerg. Zerg is interesting compared to the other races because, well, why is that? Because we swarm. We have swarms of stuff. We make waves of units, and it should be like waves of the ocean that crash into the opponent's army. We're not doing the fancy pants micro of like stimming and splitting and doing all this ridiculous stuff that's going to hurt your wrist. I'm going to show you, nice and simple, how to set up a proper Zerg fight. Okay, are you ready? We're going to do this in crayon now. Crayon time of how to take engagements as Zerg. Someone asks a question, a good question in the chat. Let's do this. How to micro Zerg? Question mark. Answer is nope. You do formation. Formation. Formation is key, not fancy pants micro, especially if you're a happy buddy who is between bronze and GM. The fancy pants micro you see in IEM where someone does some crazy move with like 5 units and they just get tons of value out of those. I'm just going to be honest with you and say that you don't have the mouse control for that, nor the game knowledge or the procedural knowledge or the accuracy. And I can say this because I don't either. And it's mostly about setting up a good engagement with what? Formation. Formation. Let's create an enemy army that people lose to all the time. Here's an army they lose to all the time. Let's do a Marine tank army. Let's draw it out, okay? Let's do these squares are tanks. We've got tank, 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 tank. And this is, let's do some Marines here too. Let's do these Marines as triangles, and they'll be blue. And we'll just have a whole bunch of them. Just, actually, let's make a set of Marines here. Got a set of Marines here, set of Marines here, set of Marines here. And then your happy base would be purple. What? I didn't mean to do that. Marines. Please excuse my paint skills. I have no idea what I'm doing with this program. Okay, these are the Marines and these are the tanks. And this is an army that people lose to all the time because they don't know how Zerg works. Here's your happy hatchery. Your hatchery is purple. Here's your base. Like, it's usually pretty far away. This is what happens. You have your happy base here, and the Marines here on the front can shoot this a little bit, or they can shoot a queen that's out in the front. And this is what Zerg thinks they have to do. They're like, oh boy, the Terran is attacking me. We need to go, go, go. And they'll have a huge army of stuff that's just all in one big clump. This is the clump of Zerg stuff. It's right here. And like a small children's soccer game, all they do is just ram it into the army. So you're crashing into this small set of Marines, and every single tank gets to concentrate its firepower on your front line. Everything that's in the front here just instantly died. And now you have about 70% of your army left. And then with the second volley, your next line instantly dies. Because they get tons of AoE value of going BAM! And they just destroy the first line of units. This is how Zerg players fuck up. And they lose this fight, and they ask a couple questions. They say, streamer, what do I do against Marine tank? And the funny thing is, their army that they had, it might be perfectly fine to beat that. By composition, by upgrades, by the army value. They could crush this. But they went at this completely the wrong way. They attacked in the way the Terran players dream about. When a Terran player curls up at night, and they're all cozy and snug and warm, and they fall asleep, They have dreams of a Zerg with a ton of units all clumped up in one ball that they run into the front and all the tanks just blast it to smithereens. Let's contrast this with the Terran player's nightmare. What do Terran players get really scared of? I'll show you. They get scared of this. When you have some stuff here, like this, some stuff here, like this, and some stuff here, like this. You have your army, but it's not in one clump like a tiny children's soccer game. You've got one wave here, one wave here, and one wave here, and you select all of those, and you do an attack move command that goes here, behind the army. So then, this stuff is going to naturally spread out and form an arc that looks like this. So you have lings directly on the tanks. And these tanks, some of them are shooting up here, some of them are shooting up here. This guy might be shooting over here, but it's not going to blow up everything at once because they have to divide their fire between different stuff. So your stuff isn't dying as fast. And in addition, the Marines that are protecting the tanks on this side, they can't also protect it on this side. And this is when they just get deleted. The Terran army gets destroyed. Maybe you had the same total volume of army, but you didn't really micro, like with fancy pants movements of a bunch of box selecting of like, oh, I'm gonna do this. Oh, what but this? No, you don't do that. Stop doing that. You're gonna hurt your wrists, and it's a huge waste of your effort. What you do is you take your big circle of Zerg stuff, you box the top part of it, you click it up here. You box the bottom part of it, and you click it down here, and you leave some here, and then you do the triangle of doom, and you attack to this point, and you swarm around it naturally. This could be Hydraling Bane, this could be Roach Hydra, this could be whatever, Zerg Army Ravagerling Bane, Roach Ravager. The key thing is, you want to divide and conquer. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket and then put your basket of eggs right in front of the tank line. That's how you lose a game. This makes sense? You have your different units on separate control groups. How do you attack command multiple times like you said? You can F2A move. That would be a way of doing this. If you have Lingbane Hydra here, Lingbane Hydra there, Lingbane Hydra there, what's the point of putting them in separate control groups? To me, that sounds like overcomplicating stuff. The way that I think about it, if I had to list off your control groups, would be, what are the jobs of the unit? Control group 1, we'll say hatches, because you have to select those to produce stuff. Let's say 2 is main army, which would include this, this, and this. These are all main army. Hotkey 3 can be harass group or spec ops or whatever you want to call it. And from the games we saw of Cyril versus Innovation, that would be a small set of units that he sends to the opponent's side of the map. So he'll send like 20 to 30 lings, and those just run across the map up to the Terran base and they harass. But that's a different job, so he uses a different hotkey. If you use 3 different hotkeys for this, you're just complicating things for yourself. You're forcing yourself to push more buttons for basically the same outcome. Box micro is really good, where you just get your box and you box half of this, and then you click it down to be here. And then that red circle would be now 2 different pieces. But it's still in the same control group. You didn't move it out of the control group, you just pre-split the units. So Micro Zerg is more about pre-splitting and planning and setting up a surround. We set up a surround by taking our little kid soccer game and turning it into a coordinated attack with flanks. You have your Lingbane on one and Hydra Roaches on the other. That sounds really complicated. Is this a boxing match? I thought it was an RTS. How much strategy do you need in your RTS? We have a lot of RT in this RTS. Well, there you have it. Setting up engagements as Zerg. How to micro as Zerg 101. The answer is no. Stop it. Just set up a good formation. And then click behind the army and watch your units naturally surround. You've got to trust the Roach, Bling, Hydra, Bane stuff to take care of itself. They're pretty simple units, and they don't need very much fancy pants control. You can F2 this if you need to. GG. I've spoken.